Here is a look at your gap and go trades for the week of May 12th through the 16th. I will go over price targets on the 5-minute time frame, have a gap recap from May 5th through the 9th, and update the chart as well. Hi everyone, it's Dow on the Dow. First up is Tsly. We ended the week at 894, up 4.32%. To the north side from where we are takes us back to the middle of the trend and the baseline, and that is roughly 899. Above that, at 2 standard deviations and 1 level of resistance and a potential take profit area and a sell limit area as well. It depends on what side of the line you bought, but that would take us to 922. Above that, 933. And at 4 standard deviations, which I do not think we will get to on Monday, but at some other point, that would be at roughly 944. To the south side, at -2 standard deviations and another level of support, that will take us to roughly 877. The gap begins right here at 872. Another level of support and another potential buy-in area and another potential stop-loss area. 865 and roughly 853, back to an area we've been before. If we go from here to here, I will definitely think that there will be a bounce as people buy the dip. As far as the gaps go from last week, this gap opened up on Friday, so this is still in play for the upcoming week. And again, all I'm looking at is from this period to this period for the swing trade. Right now, again, we are in an upward channel. And this gap also in play, taking us down to 832, and then this gap to the downside to be aware of, and this one, and this one. But we are not in the channel, not in the zone, just something to be aware of. But I will definitely keep you posted if we start to go south. This gap right here opened up on Tuesday, the 6th, and we touched right here when there was a gap up. We ran, so we touched it. So this gap is no longer in play to the upside at 839. So congrats if you made some money there, played that gap to reverse back up. We chopped sideways, as you can see. This line acted as resistance. And this gap opened up out of the gate on the 5th and touched on Thursday the 8th. So that is done. That took us to 855. So congrats on that move. And I cleaned up the other ones, okay, from previously. But this one needs to be extended. And what happened here? All right, this was an anticipated move to the upside if you had the patience to go long. And that took us to 883, also closed out on Friday the 9th. All right, so that opened up on Thursday, April the 3rd. So congrats, 883. The gap is no longer in play to the upside. So delete the price label. And then the next target to look forward to is this. And I definitely think we will touch that on Monday. Will we close it out on Monday? Yeah, possibility to close out as well. We could wick to that level. If not, then we'll hit it later on in the week. And I do own Tsly. I have shares starting at $7, $7.93. What is that level? Is that a gap? That's not me. Yeah, that's a gap. Oh wait, did I get that right? Yeah, 793. And I have some at 977. So whenever we get to 977, I won't care if I break even at this point, go up a little, I'll sell off and then buy it back in when there is a dip to this area. All right, and by the end of the week, the middle of the trend could be at, what is that, 1020. If we continue to move upward. The next one is Rivn. We ended the week at 1426, up 4.24%. This is where we are. To the north side, resistance, 1492, a take profit area. So set your sell limit at one level here. Obviously, you set it if you don't have time to micromanage it. The next level could be 1534 and 1576. Now, to the south side, this would be basically back to an area we've already been. So I'm going to leave that right here. And that is 1412. That was, excuse me, the middle of the trend last week. So we're basically back where we are, where we were, I should say. So if we drop, this will act as support and could bounce off of there, or we could chop sideways or grind slowly up with this channel since it is still going up. Look at the RSI, your MACD, flip to the different time zones. It's going to give you different buy and sell signals. Many levels of support and resistance in between here and here. Play your patterns, teacup, handle, bull flag, your wicks, whatever it is, your candles, whatever you like to do. I don't really do those things. I look at it. I do pray for a wick that closes to the upside, so then sometimes that helps me get out or figure out a point to get out, but mostly I don't bother with that. Okay, and I know people don't like to hear that, but that's why you have to trade your style. If it works for you, wonderful. This works for me perfectly. 1329 to the south side, that is support. If we get to this level, I will anticipate a bounce, as well as a bounce here and different levels in between here. These yellow lines represent lines from 2024 that I have been tracking this ticker. So if we hit those lines, because we're up here, these lines are also support lines. Just retracing to an area we've already been. Nothing new. We're not making new highs. All right. Let me go back. At 1329, I'm digressing. This level we've been to before, roughly 1289. I gotta move this out of the way. 1247. My allergies are getting better, but it's not 100% gone. And the winds picked up today, and I was outside today. I know better, but I can't help myself. Okay, so we've got a gap that takes us to 1274, and then this one closed out last week. It opened up on April the 18th, and we touched right here on Wednesday, May 7th. So congrats, that took us down to 1265. No longer a threat to our account to the south side. Obviously, there are other threats, just not this one. And then that one will take us to 1275 roughly. Let me just see if I should mark that out. Oh, it took it as 1274. Close enough. What else happened from this week, the 5th? Monday the 5th. All right, so we had this gap open up at the beginning of the week. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, let me see if I can draw this. And it did touch fully 1830. Excuse me. All right, so that's done. So I pointed out gaps to the south side. What about the gaps to the upside with Rivn? Well, we've got something here taking us to 1747. By the end of the week, the middle of the trend could land at 1559, the outer bands, 1642, 1681, don't hold your breath, 1722. All right. And obviously this area would be a better buy-in area if you're above this line and you've purchased in. You could dollar cost average down. Let's just move this while I am here so I don't forget. Okay, next one is Intel. I'm in this trade as well for myself and for my mom. I'm up and I should sell out. I always say this is going to be like a quick trade for me, and then I sit in way too long and I give up my price. I don't lock in the gains, and then it pulls back and then it goes back up. So that's when I need to be more militant about setting the stop loss and set the sell limits and just be done. Okay, 2142 up 2%. Resistance 2180, 2205, 2227. The middle of the trend is here. And I got to do something. Did I? Oh, no, that's it. Okay, the middle of the trend last week, I think, did I delete it? Oh, no, it was right here. The middle of the trend last week was at 2043, and today we're at 2142. So we climbed a leg up. So from 2043, and if we get back to this, oh wait, the middle of the trend here, that's 4% in 1 week. Beats parking your money in the bank at 0.001%, if you're lucky. Okay. And that's just a regular savings account I'm talking about. Okay, this one will take us down to 2037. Okay, this gap needs to be cleaned up because you can't have a red gap down here. The red gaps are above the price line. So intuitively, I know I need to clean up my chart, and I do. And that touched right here on the 7th of May. So that's a 1-day trade that took us up to 2024 for a 1-day gap if you played it. Let me just delete this. This is in my way. Okay, that's done. And then what happened here? Oh, look at this. This gap closed as well. That opened up on the 4th and touched on the 6th. That took us down to 2013. Let me delete that. I have no idea when the gaps will close. That's why I just extend it, and then I have to go back and clean it up. So I have shares at 1839 and 2121 and at other points too. So I got to go and check this one out. Okay. This one is already done as well. This opened up on Thursday the 8th and closed. Oh no, it didn't. I'm sorry. So we gapped up. So this will take us to the south side at 2037. Yeah, that one is still in play. That's a big landmine right here and a good area to possibly buy the dip and dollar cost average if your average is higher than that. All right, so that's done. And this line at 2142, I did sell some a long time ago for my mom. What? Yeah, I'm going to change this color because that is a gap fill. I'm going to do that color so I don't confuse the gap with this sell line. All right, and then we have a gap up here to 22 bucks. Let's clean that up. Where is the box? There it is. Let's extend that. Then we have another gap here. Ignore all the horizontal lines, those yellow lines, excuse me. We're from 2024. Yeah, this ticker, as you know, tanked. Oh, this needs to be deleted because, oh, wait a minute. Where did that touch? Oh, no, it hasn't touched yet. It touched right there on Friday. So congrats on that move. 2142. Oops. $21.41 I put. Oh, $21.42 is where I sold that line. Oh, I guess I sold it on the 9th. Nice, I marked it out already. Okay. But that gap is done. It's hard to see because I have the line marked the vertical line. Let me delete it so you can see. Yeah, I'll mark it back later. And that one, what happened? Why is this? Yeah, that needs to be deleted. Things just smack you in the face when you're used to seeing certain things and it's wonky. Okay, that gap still down here too to 1888 is still in play. All right, that's a look at Intel. Let me hurry up and do some more. And if my computer dies on me, I'll have to pick this up later, but I've been having computer problems lately. Get a drink of water here. 194.85 is where we ended, up 1.64 for Boeing. The middle of the trend and the baseline is now 195.43, 198.98, 286. Don't hold your breath for 202.68 for Monday, but perhaps at a different time. 191.73, 189.96, and 188.18. Looking left, this gap to the downside is a better buy-in area than where we are at this moment. That takes us down to 183.24. And it starts at 184.08. Last week we were at 185. Now we're at 194. So what percentage is that? That is roughly 4.9%. Very good. For 1 week, I'll take it all day long. This little gap filled too. Okay, so the next gap to look forward to the upside is this one. And we will definitely close it out on Monday. It has to close. Look. I mean, we're going to go down to go back up again. So watch that as well. Because this could fake you out to go down here and then boom, close it out. So that's a nice little gap up. From here to the gap closure is a 1.88%. For a one-day trade, beats the bank all day long. Okay, that is it. And then we have other gaps to the upside. Yeah. Okay. And watch out for this landmine 184.08. And down here too. Whew. Yeah, we've been whipped around by this ticker. NEO, 397 to the north side, the baseline, roughly $4. $4.08, $4.12, $4.16. Some gaps to the south side, 376, 384 here. Okay, I just digressed for a second. So here is $4, 392, 388. This gap closes at 384. Okay. And if I didn't say it, which I think I did, 408, 412, 416. So we are here, resistance will be there, and then if it hits there, I'm going to anticipate a sell-off and then a chop sideways if we consolidate. So what happened to this gap right here? Oh, look at this. It touched right out of the gate on Monday. So right there, took us down to 397, no longer in play. Congrats if you went short there. And these two gaps are still in play. And then we have this one to the upside. That will take us to 422. I think, yeah, I've already cleaned up these. Oops. Command Z. Undo your mistakes. And then we have gaps to the upside. The middle of the week could end roughly at 419. if we continue to go up. Big if. Actually, the market will run if Trump announces this week some sort of a trade deal with China, but there. I don't know if it's going to happen this week. 62.14, people get freaked out. It's all a game here. 62.14, 63.44, 64.10, 64.71. This gap closes to the upside at roughly 68.62-ish. Or yeah, okay. To the south side, we are at support. I will anticipate a bounce. Could go lower and then bounce, sure. So down here would be 60.20, 59.51. We have this, oops, this puppy to deal with, to 56, 54.48. Okay, and then that gap to 68.62, and then another one above that. Okay, option R. Sofi. 13.18, down 0.60. 13.31, 13.67, and 13.86. Okay, oops. To the south side, 12.92, 12.74, 12.55. Let's clean up the gaps. Let's start with this one. I have to stretch it out to see if did it really touch. I don't know. Would you give that as a win? Oops. I stretched out too much. I can't see the thing. Gosh darn it. Okay. No. See how that did not touch? Nope, that is no good. But it finally touched right there on Thursday the 8th. That was May 7th. I thought it touched. It did not. This gap opened up on the 30th. So congrats if you went long and rode it up to that level. And this gap touched right there on the 7th. Congrats. That took us up to 1284. Done. We've got a gap down here at 1185 to be aware of. And this gap closed right here on Friday. That took us down to roughly 1302-ish. That one's done. All right. The upper band will take us to roughly 1404. I'm in Sofi, and the cheapest I bought it was in the $6. I own all of the red. $6 and $6.28 too, I think. I'll have to go through and mark that out. Okay, but I'm upside down as well. But I think overall, even though I have some shares that are higher, I bought way more when it tanked, so I have made money off of this ticker. Okay, 1185 to watch out for. Oh, and then this one here, 1073. Let's extend this, shall we? All right, the next one is going to be Nike. Option R to reset this. 58.30. This is going to be resistance. 59.49. We could chop sideways or slowly make our way up. $60.80. Just had to get some water. 61.37. 62.01-ish to the south side. Basically, right where we are will be 58.21 area to an area we've been before, 57.60-ish, and 56.96, which would close out this gap to the south side that is still in play. That's a dip area. And this gap will take us to $62 and 71.47 here. And then 57.26, as I mentioned. I think I've cleaned everything up. Okay. Oh, is that it? No way. Oh, that's it. Yeah, Nike. That is it for me then. I just went over 8 tickers on the 5-minute time frame with potential gaps to the upside and potential gaps to the downside. So you can make money in both directions. And one final tip, if you have your favorites all lined out here, your tool, your drawings, this is the star that makes it disappear. Your favorite turns on, turns off, turns on, turns off. So just something, a shortcut for you if you can't find it. All right, that does it for me. I hope you had a fantastic Mother's Day weekend, and let me know what you're trading. Have a good week.